All right, guys, today we're going to be talking about how I almost got kicked off of Airbnb. Dun, dun, dun. It's true. Almost happened. It was during COVID, right? I can say COVID now on YouTube, I think. So I was doing COVID. I was remodeling a property. The attic in the property had the Airbnb, which was functioning, and it was covering my mortgage for the property mostly. And I was remodeling the main floor because I was turning it into an office. I had workers there, and they were working, right? And I did put in the description, that you might hear noise during the day because the workers are working. But for whatever reason, these workers, they unplugged the router because the router was in the main property. And it had enough strength to reach to the top unit. Still is that way till today. And so the guest, found it upon himself to go downstairs and talk to the workers who were working, and he was trying to go find the router, right? He walks into the property, which is a job site, huge job site. It was totally tore up. It was almost down to studs and like missing floor, all kinds of stuff. And talks to my workers. My workers try and help him to find it. And then after that, he leaves, goes upstairs, calls Airbnb, and complains because my workers are not wearing masks. And they're physically doing labor in the unit, and these guys. So next thing I know, I'm looking at my Airbnb. I hadn't heard anything from either the guest or my workers. The workers didn't seem like he said he didn't seem like he was mad when I talked to him later. And I go to my Airbnb app and I'm blocked. So I immediately call Airbnb and I say, "What's going on?" They're like, "Oh, well, we got this complaint, and we take it very seriously. That your your people around the Airbnb are not wearing masks." And I'm like, "They're not my people. They're a construction company that we hired, and they were inside a different property entirely. There's no door. There's no common area. They're not sharing any space. So, if anything, this guy broke into my property, into and tried to do something without any authorization because I never authorized him to go in there and talk to them. So, you know, after talking to them and the supervisor, they turned my property on with limitations, and so they took it very seriously. So what I recommend to you guys now, this COVID thing is kind of a unique thing, but just know there's a few things that Airbnb does not play with, right? And it all comes around liability. So whenever you're doing something that makes them have some liability, they're going to protect themselves, right? Because this guy could sue or whatever. They're all scared of all that stuff. Get on the news, right? Especially in the beginning of this COVID stuff. And you got to be careful. And it was really scary for a minute there because I already had, I don't know, I think I had like eight Airbnbs already. And if I turned those off in the middle of COVID, which was already horrible, right? And it was already terrifying business wise, it could have really damaged my business. So I highly recommend you guys take the precautions to go by these guidelines. There's certain things that give them liability. Think about it. Masks, stairs, walkways, all these kinds of things. You want to be careful. You really do. You want to be careful. And you don't want to limit yourself to just Airbnb. Like right now, I have a unit that is going to have a stairway to the basement. And the stairs are kind of like, a little risky. I had to build a rail. But what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to create another account and do that Airbnb through a new account because I don't want to risk possibly getting into trouble on Airbnb. And if they do, I don't want them to connect the two of my accounts. So I'm going to create a new account, and that one's going to be at risk by itself. So we'll see. God willing, right? I don't want to risk how much I've got on these other accounts. So you want to protect yourself, insulate yourself as well. You know, that might be another reason to go cross-platform, so that you are not totally stuck with Airbnb. Now, I'm not a big guy of saying like, hey, you know what, let's do a website, let's try and get business outside of Airbnb, which you can. But what Airbnb offers with the constant flow of new guests, constant flow of customers, constant growth, it's going to be very hard to compete with if you try and do it yourself. What I would say is you could do it as a supplemental, but never really think like you're going to be able to fill your calendar outside of Airbnb. You know, it's the same reason why people, you know, for sell by owner, it just doesn't work. It might work once or twice, but to build a business around it, it's just kind of dumb. So I don't know. That's just me. I highly recommend you guys to take precautions, be safe, take that extra step, document as much as possible. Put as much as you can in your rules and your guidelines to protect yourself and your business. Because guests are crazy, and they will just, for whatever reason, try and ruin you. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you have a blessed day, and we'll see you on the next one.